no criticism regarding objectively narrowing your music.
There it is.
Hola.
Hey, boys.
Can you
Happy
hear me?
Cinco de Mayo.
Are you
Cheers.
drinking?
I'm not drinking what it
Mark?
should be. It's wine, even though this should be a tequila holiday. If I
It
try to
should
do
be
it
for
properly.
you. Yeah.
I know, I just didn't have time to go to the store, so I'll use what I have over here.
Isn't it cheaper down there?
It's really cheap, actually. I get flyers every few days, the liquor flyers. Georgia calls them the grocery maps. Yeah. There's you can get tequila for $10 down here. It's great. It's amazing. But it's also a very special day. It's Cinco de Marco. Isn't that right, Steve?
It's Cinco de Marco.
Oh, my God. We got to thank Pitkin for the beautiful production on that one. Oh, that's an expensive gift, buddy. How
Thank you,
much
boys.
did you pay for that? Unfortunately, Mark has to work on his birthday.
It took me a couple minutes, actually, a full couple minutes in iMovie, and then I switched over to Pro Tools and finished it off.
Nice. Very good work. I like the font. You chose the first one that was available. I love that.
Thank you.
Love it.
Also, I have something new, if I could show you. It's a new
What do you
bell.
got? Oh, man, that's vintage.
Oh.
My stepdad Gerhardt mailed me this in a mysterious box, and it's so loud. Unfortunately, I can't use it. I'll hit it really quietly though.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's
But
very
you don't
good.
want to hear. That's with nothing. So sorry, Gerhardt. We have to go to the traditional bell. This is the bell that we use to stop each other from talking, right?
And you're about to use it because you're up first,
Oh,
so you have to self-regulate.
great.
But I think you've got a good one this week. I really like this track. So why don't you lead us
Really?
off?
Yeah, it is. It's a great track.
Tell us
Yeah.
about
It
this
is.
one.
It's
We
stellar.
listened to a lot of Nancy Sinatra on the road, actually, with Lee Hazelwood, because he got employed to produce a lot of her early tracks. She became famous through These Boots Are Made for Walking, which came out in about 67 or 66, maybe. Not shortly after that, this is Frank Sinatra's daughter, of course. Shortly after that,
They're related?
yeah, she got requested to do the soundtrack for You Only Live Twice, which was the next Bond film after Goldfinger. And she really didn't want to do it. For some reason, she didn't want to. I think it was Shirley Bassey sang on the Goldfinger. She didn't want to follow her for some reason. They had originally asked Frank, and Frank said, "No, give it to my daughter. You know, she's up and coming superstar." And in the end, she ended up doing it. And apparently, she was so nervous it took almost 30 takes. And they compiled, like, this isn't back in the 60s, compiled that take from 25 different takes.
It's funny when you talk about like the editing back, like that one Hazelwood and her, the song, what is it? Some Velvet Morning, where it cuts literally between almost two separate songs with no smoothness at all. It's just like flowers, and then it cuts back to the Some Velvet. It's awesome. It's just like some editor was like, I'm not doing this. I'm just going to tape it where, right on. There was no smoothing. But the production is very similar to Hazelwood. Did Hazelwood produce this though?
He did one version of it. Yeah.
I see. And that's the one you said.
It must have been like a mono, or it was the London Symphony Orchestra. It must have been like a mono track or something. Because or different tape machines. I don't know how you cut all those parts together.
My question for you is who mixed it? Because that mix is amazing. Like everything is up with the vocal.
Yeah,
like, everything is like way up. Like the guitar line, everything is like it's all par.
Well, that's it. Because it's like You Only Live Twice. There's two melodies, right? There's that one.
That's the one. Yeah, the little.
And then her singing on top. I've discovered it through seeing Bill Frisell busking. There was an Instagram thing of him busking the song, and I was like, "Who is that?" And I figured out that's what the song was. Anyways, fun facts about this song, which make it so amazing. Bookends. It starts and ends with the same line. You only live twice. No word more than two syllables, which is something I love to hear in a song.
Oh, that's a big Pitkin thing right there.
It is.
Syllables. Yes.
Yeah. And then the line that kills me, it's it's like the James Bond, so it could be it's the man of mystery, could be whatever, he's a double agent, right? But the last line or the last stanza of the song is this dream is for you. So pay the price. make one dream come true. You only live twice. And then she drifts off into the ethers. You know, it's like, it's unusual for a song. Most songs are about, you know, breakups or whatever, but this is like totally bizarre. And I love
that era
cool.
for sure. There was stuff in the water back then. Something was going on, especially the Lee Hazelwood stuff is just wild.
She comes in like an oracle, you know, like just to tell you this, like, you know, you live twice, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Anyways, happy to bring that.
Good lead off with Nancy Sinatra. Ring the bell.
Yeah,
let's hit the birthday boy with his choice here, his first choice.
Yeah,
here's a good one.
My first one. Chad just released a new record, and it's called "The World's Most Stressed Out Gardener," and it's brilliant. I mean, we've hung out with Chad numerous times now, right? Once at the Seminar Roots and Blues Fest. Casey, you weren't there because you were indisposed. You had a collapsed lung. But he's been great. He's an awesome guy. And this album is special. But this song, along with the video, it's stellar. Yeah. Have you guys watched the video?
It's insane.
I would imagine it's his animations. Is that right? Or
it is.
Because he's also an incredible visual guy, obviously. And he's drawn me a picture in my time. So.
What type of picture did he draw you, Kay?
In the back in the day, I think it was when we were finalists of the Polaris, 2010 or 11, whatever year it was. Chad was, which is also the field that we had. Obviously, that Polaris year was incredible to be amongst those 10 records. Yeah. But Chad's record was in there too, and he drew me a picture of an organ, like a female organ of some kind, and just slid it across the table to me. And I should have kept it. I don't know where it is because I feel like his art is going to be worth some money one day. You know, like it's a beautiful. I just didn't know what to think. I was like, thank you. I had just met him. But anyways, great artist. So obviously his videos.
And he has a stellar video. This video though uses artwork from his dad. I guess his dad was a watercolor artist, painter, and has recently, I guess, passed away. So it's kind of an homage to his dad at the same time. But the video and song are brilliant. It's about obviously borrowing a sword from a friend, and he does with the video is added on information that he goes to kind of a secondhand place and borrows the sword, and it's a great little tale.
But it's like I still need it back. He still wants it back.
But at the end, oh, go ahead, Steve.
Well, the sound, it sounds like there's swords in it, like the you hear all the sort of metal noises and stuff. I like that.
Well, yeah, he uses a lot of toys and found sounds. I think, too, right?
And it's quirky. It's like the song is quirky. He's such an affable guy, and just how he writes and everything that he puts into his music is great. I just love this one. But he also did an amazing video for Wolf Parade as well just recently. But anyways, yeah,
very discernible and recognizable art. When you see it, you sort of know it's him. You know, like he's got even I mean sonically as well, right? He's like that record, like I mentioned, the one. And the title's not coming to me right now, but during the Polaris one that we were nominated, we listened to that record. Right, like we listened to that thousands and thousands of times. It was so, like, you know, it was one of those records. It was so great. So yeah, and I think the last time we hung up with him was in that weird Quebec show, wasn't it, or like Northern Ontario or something? So hopefully he's doing well, like the rest of us releasing records in the no touring time or whatever. So yeah,
he told us about his skating accident that just got worse and worse and worse.
Oh.
Yeah, we're not going to go into it here, but it was just like
funny guy.
It was one of those things, the festivals where you have all day to do nothing and just hang out with people you haven't seen for maybe years at some points. So it's like, we got to catch up pretty good. All right.
Yeah.
Am I up? I'm up.
Right.
You are.
All right.
Yeah.
Here's one of my all-time favorites and more recent favorites. I'm so back into all the 90s stuff. I mean, I grew up on it. I was raised. This is sort of past when I listened to all that rock music, but I love Hole. I think Malibu, I think I wrote it in that little blurb. It's like, I think of that song when I think of where I live. I obviously live in LA right now. And it's like sort of the like sad, depressed it's like something about the chord progression. The video is amazing. They have palm trees on fire. Just sort of that hatred of LA is in there, which I like. Even though you love the place, there's this like anger towards it or whatever. One of my favorite videos. And Melissa Oftemar, like her harmonies in there are beautiful. The production is amazing. I found out the guy who produced the record, Steve, you might know this guy, Michael Beinhorn. Do you know that name?
I only know it from the liner notes of the record.
Right, there you go. Well, so like he produced, like he's one of the guys who's responsible for like he did Super Unknown by Soundgarden, Grave Dancers Union, Soul Asylum. So he's like he helped define like the 90s sound. He worked with Nine Inch Nails, Mother's Milk for Chili Peppers. So the guitar sound and production of Celebrity Skin, that record is one of my favorites ever. And I found out today in my like last minute homework that song is co-written by Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh,
So there
okay.
you go. He got some words in there too.
She used to date him before she dated Kurt.
Well, we all make mistakes. Tell me. I got Billy coming up actually in a couple picks.
And I'm really glad that you actually picked the Corrigan song off Siamese.
Yeah, I have a lot of issues with that band. Good ones and bad ones, and we'll talk about it when we get there.
And Melissa Oppenheimer, right? 6 Degrees. She played in Smashing Pumpkins as well.
That's she's she's played. Here they are here.
Of course.
I've watched every every documentary about the band and Courtney Love. I just find her fascinating at the whole thing. She's a wild character. So yeah, crank up Malibu.
I like the world weariness on that song. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things in it. The video makes it for me. I've watched. If you look at our YouTube channel, I've watched it 1,000 times. It's in the algorithm.
Come up all the time.
Exactly.
You're killing our algorithm.
I know, it's just all whole music.
I wanted Rick Beato up there, but we got Whole. So.
Oh, I can't watch that guy anymore. I love him. He's cool. I got to take him. Anyways, we got Steve up with pick number 2 over here.
Oh yeah, what is it? Help me out here.
Wait, Steve, before you start, did you wait?
Birthday, is there an opportunity?
That one up there for you. Yeah,
happy birthday, Mark.
Okay, you know what? Thanks, Steve, and thanks to everybody that's kind of been Casey's been putting it up on the screen. All the people that give me shit. It's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, here's one: Wolf Parade and Chad together at Lucky Bar in Victoria. That would have been a good one.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Okay. Wow. Okay, I know what's up. It's the Stampeders all the way from Calgary, Alberta.
Absolutely.
Might be their biggest classic rock band ever. Am I wrong? I could be wrong, but definitely their first.
Well, this photo looks. This is a classic rock photo right here. This is beautiful. Look at the colors.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you'd pick the cover of the album.
It's up there.
Yeah. Okay. Good. You bring it up. It's on the Spotify list, anyways. If you want to go. I called them chameleons in my little write-up because none of the songs sound like any of the other songs.
Right.
I have to agree with you.
I never heard this song, and I was like, I dig this. This is crazy. I love it.
And we did a show with them in Red Deer, and they were doing like blues song, like it was a blues band or something. So it was like in Crocs, but they were pretty amazing band overall in their history. Like Sweet City Woman is really a classic hit. You can't deny that, right? It's Aaron Goldstein's song, basically. That's our van song when we had that cigar box guitar that we would play Sweet City Woman almost after every show. Aaron Goldstein's Limitless Musical Lunch Hour or something, because he can play anything, right? It was just great. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of rekindled my love of the Stampeders. And then there's the other song Wild Eyes that the drummer sings, which is really a knockoff of Sabbath.
Yeah.
It's like Black Sabbath. I thought it was when I first.
Isn't Mark's version Wild Rice?
It is.
One that you
Wild
said.
Rice. Yeah.
Wild Rice. Yeah.
Yeah. But then check out my pick, right?
Yeah.
Carry Me. It's a classic country rock song. We're back in California. Birds.
Yeah,
Carry
I
Me
had to
Home.
look. I didn't know it was them when I heard it on the playlist. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, so that's why I picked that one. I thought,
And in fairness, it's not an overly complicated song, right?
No.
Like when they play it, it's just like it's simple, just that guitar in there, and then they obviously filter it in with a whole bunch of other stuff. But it's just like it's not like I'm like, wow, this could be a one-off, like where maybe they took a few takes and they just kind of recorded the song. You know what I mean? Like,
simple.
Yeah,
and probably 2 syllables too. I think that's
you count. That's an important thing as we've learned over the years. The syllables is a big deal.
I first noticed it with ABBA, but a lot of other.
I still contest that most words in the English language are 2 syllables. So that's
there is that.
There's a lot with 3 and 4, but I think most of them are in that area. So I think that's why. I'll put it out there. Yeah. We'll fight about it in the van when we get back together again. Next. All right, we're moving on to one of Canada's best.
Yes,
if not the best. She's amazing.
This one I would have liked to have picked from her older releases, but I thought that this song for me is a standout. One, because it's like the looped percussion, the hand claps and the stomps that run through the whole song, except for in the middle where it just gets down to like a simple hand clap. And the vocals are beautiful. The idea of the song is great. Like 2 people that love one another finding the worst in each other, even though they're like, it's almost like crossing.
The line is like 2 good people who can't find the good in each other, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know if you remember. when I was listening to it, the thing about this song is this is after the Reminder, right? So this is after 1, 2, 3, 4, which was like a mass, obviously worldwide, on commercials, massive song, which obviously I would imagine puts a ton of pressure on any songwriter or any artist to like come out with something good after that, like to follow that, because that's beyond a hit. That's like a whole other life happens to you. And I think that's the first track on the album, is it not?
It's the second.
Oh,
is it?
No,
Okay,
maybe not. Hold on a second.
It feels like the intro to me, like that sound of like, like a lot of people might just associate her with that one song because they know that. But then this album comes out, and I remember we were actually listening to this on, I think it was the Kootenai Pass we were on.
You're right. It is
Super Dangerous Day. Yeah, like
it is the first
after that album, all of a sudden, like that's how you reintroduce yourself, was pretty epic. Yeah. And we were listening to it on a very, very, very dangerous drive. I think coming into Nelson, I think it was the Kootenai Pass.
I think she recorded it at Big Sur too, another mountainous area, right?
Just up the street.
Well, the other thing I like about it is like I like simplicity. Like it's very simple. It's not that it's not complicated. It's complex in its simplicity, but because it loops the rhythm over and over again, and then the guitar comes in and it keeps looping itself. It's almost like an electronic song, and then they just put the lyrics over top of it. It's just it's gorgeous. I mean, obviously we covered Graveyard, right? A long time ago as well, because that's another brilliant song off this one. And I think this one might have won Polaris as well. I don't know for sure, but
and she's a Calgarian.
I stopped following Polaris once we weren't in it. So I have no idea what happened after 2010.
Oh my God. I've just looked this up really quick. It only got 7 out of 10 on Spin Magazine. That's ridiculous.
Again, people don't know anything.
Brutal.
They wanted 1, 2, 3, 4. Right?
Yeah, but that's what's great about this record,
right? Because an artist
goes in a different direction. It's like it's powerful. This is monumental. This is a great record.
Yeah. Anyway, I just love that idea of like you come off this massive success, even just with one track, and then this whole record is an incredible like follow up to that. That doesn't always happen. It can like lead, it more often than not. The next thing is not as well. I guess if you get a 7 out of 10, maybe it isn't critically as much as the other one, but fans love it. That's my favorite record of hers. So people who know. Well,
and much the reason why I picked it is because obviously she's from Calgary. She hails from there.
Yeah, we got Chad, we got her. Stampeders, I imagine, are from Calgary. They're probably not, right?
Yeah.
Where are they from? Yeah.
Yep, Calgary.
There you go. Well, here's a band that's not from Calgary. Show you these guys right here. This is my next pick. There's Billy.
Wow.
Darcy.
Yep.
Melissa.
So yeah, I picked the Smashing Pumpkins, the song Hummer, and it could have been any song from Siamese Dream. I just picked this one just because
totally
they all have the same thing for me. They're the sound of like 17 years old for me. They're the sound of like the distortion I've been chasing my whole life. That whole thing, like the sound of that guitar is just like in my brain as I always wanted it to sound like that. And I've always heard rumors that they did like 90 guitar tracks, 30 with it all pan treble, 30 with it all. I mean, you really only need to do like 4 or 5 of that to do that, but whatever it is, I've always loved the first 2 albums from this band, Gish and Siamese Dream, and then as soon as it turns into Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, I have no time for it anymore. So I don't know if it's the fact that all of my favorite songs were in Billy Corgan's hair, and then when he lost his hair, it was over or something. Like as soon as he turned into like the vampire, like I didn't like anything after that.
I have to agree with you. Like I hung on for a bit, and then I
couldn't do it.
This is brutal. But that whole album, Mayonnaise is one of my favorites. It's just, they're standout songs. They are. And they're of a time. But they do translate well. When I was listening back to it recently, I was like, the writing is still pretty strong. You know what I mean?
It's one of the bands, too, because I'm all lyrics guy. Like, always lyrics first. But to be honest, I don't really... The Pumpkins lyrics, I can't really, they're not storytellers to me necessarily. Like I can't really recognize half the words in this song.
A lot of emotion in it though, so you kind of go
it's all energy, right? Sound of the whole thing. It's one of the bands that I don't count on words for. Like I know the little pieces, but it's all about the sonic like push of the songs.
But the one thing I will say that he has one line is like, life's a bummer when you're a Hummer, which I always loved as like a songwriter, the songwriter life. Will be like, it's not always the best, right?
Well, here's Aaron. Look at Aaron's going to fight me, and that I'll have this debate with you anytime, but that's fine. To each their own. I just can't stand that record. 1979 makes me want to jump off a bridge. I can't listen to it. I can't, man. Something happened to me. I don't know what happened. I don't know what it was, but it's like
Your allegiance to rock.
It's also, I think, like maybe I've only read selected interviews and watched selected things with him, but his ego to me just makes me not want to listen to him anymore. I don't know.
Do you remember we passed him in the airport in Australia, and you're like, "Hey, there goes your friend," because I would always talk about it. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I think so.
A couple airports. We seem to be following him around. It was, yeah.
Oh, that's right. We saw him in Spain or somewhere crazy.
Spain, Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, I love the music. I would never. I'm just saying, like, there's the coolest thing I've seen from him. My favorite thing more recently is when he was on the cover of that cat magazine. Like he was on a cat aficionado, and I think that I was like, all right, I love you again. I love you all over again.
Well, here's the other thing, because you've been watching the Dark Side of the Ring. He wanted to become a promoter.
I think I heard that. Yeah.
So he went and bought in. I think he bought into the Midwestern Wrestling Association, something like that.
Well, you got the money, you start buying things, investing things. But I'll see the rest of my pumpkin time. And Aaron, we'll talk later. We'll have a private conversation about these records or whatever. I'm a 2-record guy when it comes to the pumpkins. All right, we got Steve is back with his last pick. And this is my favorite one of this playlist, to be honest. I think.
Come on, the doo-wop nugget?
Love it, man. This is a classic.
Who wrote the Book of Love?
These guys.
Yeah, there you go. Funny enough, in my mind, this might sound weird, but I always thought it was a white group. Can I say that on TV?
Sure, especially on YouTube TV where no one's watching, of course.
No, my dad introduced me to this along with the Everly Brothers, along with Dwayne Eddy.
Right.
The Everly Brothers sounded black, though, right?
Right. Well, this is it. You never know, right? But it's like reading a book. You don't know what, like you imagine the way that it looks. And then so when I was like, bringing up the song, I'm like, oh, these guys, wow, I never knew. The funny thing is, they're from Newark, New Jersey. This is a little background on them. They were basically from a church choir. A lot of tenor. I think there's 2 tenor singers, 2 bass, all that. Mm-hmm. And that was their only hit. That was their only it went to number 5 on Billboard, and they lasted over a decade. Promoting that hit around the country.
Hey, you only need one, man. We only, like I said, boys, we need one.
I don't know. As
soon as we have one, that's it.
Let's write half of one. Let's start.
I always wondered, like, what is rehearsal like for like a vocal doo-wop group? What is that like sitting around a room like, boop, 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 boop?
They did it in church all the time, right? So I'm sure it's natural. What I love is in that video, actually, the clip that you showed, it's this really white audience that can't clap on the beat.
Of course. That's the whole era, watching an audience that does not
clap. Well, it's kind of hard to watch.
Like that song, I'm not sure who, the Get a Job, like if you're rehearsing, dip, 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 bum, 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 bum. Get a job. Like what a great rehearsal that would be. Yeah. So fun.
Yeah.
But great choice. This is, I'm
glad you like it. All right.
You're done.
He rang himself out. Well, I'm behind here. Let me find out who's next.
Oh, did you want to add more to it?
Oh, no. We'll bring up the birthday boy. This is a good one, too.
I love it because I'm a huge 50s nerd, right?
You are, yeah.
Motown, it was on the radio all the time.
Interestingly, I don't know if you listen to the Renegade podcast sorry, I'm getting an echo. It's the boss, Bruce Springsteen, and Obama talking at the boss's house. And he's from pretty near Newark. And he remembers the race riots, and a lot of their combo is about the race segregation and everything around there. So finding that these guys were from New York really reminded me that they're neighbors of the boss.
Dude, I had no idea the Monotones live near Bruce Springsteen. So that's why people tune into this show.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you know
that?
That was the post-Sting encore there. Well,
there we go. See, look at this. I got stuff to sell now. I'm going to make a doo-wop album. I love it. Beautiful. Yeah. All right. We got Marcus back with, Aimee Mann here, which is a nice choice as well.
Yeah, I was, what was I doing? I was going down rabbit holes on the internet. I was looking up Kids in the Hall stuff, and then happened upon a Dave Foley interview, and I was just reading it for, the sake of like, what's Dave Foley up to? And then it turns out that it's like all of these things coalesce. It's like Aimee Mann, P.T. Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson, who made the movie Magnolia, and Dave Foley. And I'm like, how does that come together? And what happened was Dave Foley, at some time when he was in LA, befriended Aimee Mann. Then they started dating.
Oh.
And she wrote Save Me about him. She called him up at about 3 a.m. She was on tour and she's like, I just wrote this song about you. She's in Paris. She's like, I wrote this song about you, Save Me. And P.T. Anderson based his whole movie, Magnolia, off like a couple of lines off of her song.
That's awesome. It's weird what Canadian comedian dudes get songs like Alanis Morissette wrote the Dave Coulier one, and then I didn't know this one.
And I mean, Aimee Mann, for me, in the early 2000s, because of Magnolia, because of this movie, became a huge mainstay for me. I would listen to this album. I would listen to the whole Magnolia soundtrack. But I mean, her stuff it's just standout. It's just so brilliant. It's so gentle. It's articulate, all of those things. And anyways, so I picked this song because I'm like, that's kind of crazy that Dave Foley would have a song written about him. How good of a guy is he that you wrote a song about
I guess.
him?
Or how bad. Yeah. There you go.
And that's LA and bought me a drink. So
I don't know if you've ever seen
Have you guys seen the movie Magnolia?
Oh yeah. I recognize the song from the movie as soon as I listen to it again. Honestly.
Right. Yeah.
If you ever have, I don't know if you watch Portlandia, but her episode of Portlandia, at least the one I saw her on, she may be on multiple ones where she's like a maid. She's working for her. It's awesome. She's awesome in it. Yeah, she's
yes, I did see that. You're right.
Yeah, where she like cleans the house and whatever. It's pretty awesome. She seems really cool. Is basically what I got from that. The people who've been on Portlandia, like there was the one with Maskus where he's like in the quietest band ever and he's playing his guitar with a feather. And they're like, it's too loud. But we won't go too far.
Oh my God. Wait for the Portland episode of A.C.R.O.N.M.
Oh yeah, well we got a lot of stories from there. Yeah. All right, I'm going to my last pick and then we're gonna have some friends on.
Yeah.
All right, here's mine. This is a weird one-off. I want to say this. This is like, again, I think I wrote it before, but it's like I only know this song from this band. This is about 4 years old, maybe 3 years old. I'm not entirely sure. Escondido is the name. They're, I think, a couple. It feels like they are. And I believe one or both are Canadian. I think only one. I think the girl is Canadian. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But this is just one of those, I guess, if you get down to those, like, damn, I wish I wrote that kind of songs. Like, has all the things that I would, like to do in a song at some point. Really slow build. It's a song that mentions another song, which is Night Moves by Bob Seger. Like, the beginning of the song is them listening to Night Moves, which I think is immediately... okay, I'm in. Like, I'm going to listen to this song. And a beautiful voice, great guitar playing, great sort of like simple arrangement that just gradually builds and builds to this sort of giant payoff. And I really need to go and listen to another track from them because it's honestly the only one I've ever heard, and I've listened to it a lot. As you know, I've forced you guys to listen to it a lot as well.
That's okay.
So, yeah, Escondido, named after the town in LA or California.
I love the vocals. The vocals are great.
It's pretty amazing.
Standout vocals for sure.
So there's our 9 songs for this week. That's pretty good. I liked it.
We
did it in good time. We even have a minute to spare, but we have a couple friends on today. We're going to talk to Joe from High Horse Coffee. If you guys have been following what we've been doing, we paired up with High Horse in Alberta to do this brand of coffee.
Guys,
we did a month of Sundays.
Guys, we got some High Horse coffee in the mail.
Oh, nice.
Well, let's bring Joe in oh my God, that's massive.
Is that the Stadium Series or what is it?
Is that what it's called?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring Joe in. He can tell us. Hold on, here we go. Let's bring him in here. There he is.
Thank you, Joe.
Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Love it.
Look at the size of that thing. That's huge. That's beautiful. Awesome. Yeah. No, thanks for having me, guys.
No, thanks for coming on, man. We have enjoyed the coffee we've had already. Lots of it. It's beautiful, and it was a great sort of partnership we got to do with you guys.
Yeah, super.
My whole family are fans of your coffee, like extended aunts and uncles. They all got it for Christmas and stuff. So.
That's right. I was gonna say that. I've seen every name come through. I think
probably.
I know all your family.
We love your marketing. The way you send the thank you notes the thank you emails that go out. We're all pretty.
Oh, nice. Oh, good.
The long thing. It's pretty great. So, are you in Edmonton or where are you? No, you're not. You're in Montana right now or something. Is that right? Or
no, I'm in Edmonton.
Oh, you are. Okay, cool.
Yep.
And how's
That'd
it
be
going?
nice. Montana would be all right.
That's fine. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I thought I heard you were down there for some reason, but
no, just in Edmonton.
Awesome. So how's business? Small business working through this whole mess of 2020 into 2021.
Yeah.
You guys been?
No, what a mess. No, it's been great. You don't want to say too much about it, but I mean, like Canada, this province, everybody supported us huge, and which has been a really big thing. That's amazing. So it was, instead of just sort of, wondering what we were going to do, you were able to sort of flourish and do some really cool things and whatnot. So we've been fortunate. And that's just generally to people of Alberta and Canada.
Do you find that people have actually bought more coffee over this length of time since everything started?
Oh yeah, for sure. Actually, those bags, when the pandemic first started, those kind of bags are usually what we use in cafes and things like that.
Right.
And we had a bunch of them, and we were kind of like, oh man, what are we going to do with these bags? Because there's no cafes open anymore. And so we just
within 2 weeks.
We reintroduced them as social distancing size.
That's
and then people bought them like crazy. Now it's like a norm, right, for people to pick up one of those and
turn into like feed coffee, like with corn. Like this is for the animals. I mean, my wine consumption has gone up, therefore my coffee consumption. It's like an equal thing, right?
That's right. That's right.
But it was great, man. When we got it in hand and we saw, the Month of Sundays version of it, the way you paired up, you've done it with a few artists, I think, at this point, and sort of made like a little brand out of it, which has been really cool. People loved it, man, and it was a good thing to pair up with guys like you.
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic. Like I almost fell over when Sarah there from Six Shooter called me.
Oh, right on.
That was great. Just landed it right at the perfect time.
Now, do you guys have like a bricks and mortar shop, or are you just a distributor? I looked, I didn't know if there was an actual shop there, or you get it to different coffee shops, like you service them. How does it work?
Yeah, pretty much. We have a warehouse in Edmonton, but we don't actually.
I see. Okay.
We don't have a lot of customers here, so mainly we just supply grocery stores and our online store and cafes and just anything like that. We always intended to like open an actual store, but just there's been no need.
Yeah.
And, so maybe one day, I guess, once things settle down.
Because I was thinking about it. I don't know if we have like any really hard go-to spots like in Edmonton for anything, food or coffee, but like, what would you recommend if you were to go hang out somewhere when things are wide open? Is there a place you would let you go, or talk about?
Yeah, there's fantastic places just for coffee and for everything. But
High Level Diner,
that's one we do go to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and like White Ave is just a ton of stuff popping up.
Yeah,
on it,
Mm-hmm. White Ave is great. That's sort of obviously where we were introduced to Edmonton. Our first show ever was at this place. Would you recognize the Black Dog?
Yeah, the Black Dog. Yeah,
classic venue. We played there for I think it was the college radio conference the first time around that way, nice. Which is how we networked with it basically was a big move for us to play to all these people who were playing music on campus radio. So White Ave we busked on White Ave in front of the chapters because the chapters had a bathroom we could use. That was like maybe the one and only time we've ever busked was in front of that chapters on the corner on White Ave, which is pretty hilarious.
That's a great place to busk. The Black Dog is the only bar I've ever been kicked out of, and that's a
nice. Was it? Yeah. Were you deserving of getting kicked out? Or was
I think so. It was when I discovered absinthe. And it was like mid-afternoon on a Monday, and it was like, it's time for you to go, guy. But classic place.
Wow.
I wish I had some video. I do at home of that show, of our first show at the Black Dog, which is pretty great. I think it was one of those ones where we owed them money at the end of the night or something. Like we were paid to be there, but I feel like we overstayed our welcome or something. Because I remember it was actually, and Mark, you'll remember this, the next day was Canada Day, and we drove straight to Vancouver from Edmonton.
Overnight.
We left overnight. The second night, I think we were there 2 nights. We weren't doing anything dangerous other than driving late at night, but got into this is our first sort of tour westward, and got into the mountains as the sun was coming up. It was Canada. It was pretty Canadian.
That was the night. There was we had the Aurora Borealis on one side and the full moon on the other. It was lit,
very spiritual
through there.
It was bright outside at midnight, kind of basically.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
Next to Victoria.
And how's Edmonton right now? Pretty closed down. I haven't been following. I know Ontario's a little rough right now, but.
Yeah, we just yesterday we got some new restrictions. So, so now everything's different now. We're pretty shut down again.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
We're definitely hoping. Here's a shot of our coffee. If you haven't bought it yet, check them out. highhorse.com, I imagine.
Now in bigger packages.
Bigger packages. Absolutely. That's just no one finds the small ones anymore.
It's great that it's great that you released the bigger package, because we crushed. I know that I did. I had 3 bags and they were gone in within a week. It was just like, so good.
So that's great.
I didn't realize I had been drinking terrible coffee until that arrived. I was like, I got up my game here. It was like we were drinking basically not anything spectacular. Then
yeah.
And how do you curate that? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, what's that?
How do you curate that? Like, how do you go and pick it, or do they send you samples? Because it's definitely tastes like somebody actually cared about this and got it from here to here. Because it's not just like there's your coffee. It's like there's an actual flavor to it. You know, they're like, is it? Do you go somewhere? Or do you meet them?
Yeah, well, there's a
trade.
lot of like we buy from co-ops.
Yeah.
And what co-ops are kind of like, so Huehuetenango is a region in Guatemala, and it's like some small family farms that get together and they have a co-op. And so you just kind of buy from that and bring it out. So, and then everything we do is like a specialty coffee, which means like coffee is kind of like grapes, where you can have some big juicy ones and some shriveled up. And so to be a true specialty roaster, you have to use the biggest and the best. Yeah. Which translates like a ton into the flavor and the smoothness, and like it gets rid of some of that, that like that coffee gut rot you would get and things like that. Just a higher quality.
Touring musicians know a bit about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We've drank our fair share of the Overlord's Mr. Horton's product in our time. And
I usually add stuff to it, and I realize you don't need to add anything. And I mean, that's
true. Your testimony.
Yeah, that's the hallmark of a good coffee, right?
Right.
It's like you don't really need that.
Well, because having traveled for almost 20 years, coffee is incredibly important now. It's so important. It's not like Timmy's was always just, we'll just get that. But now, no, we can't. I'm not going out there and drinking that anymore. So it's good. Now. Those things and, products and small companies doing cool things is basically what we're trying to do. We're a band, we're a small business trying to make it in the same way. And so we realize over the I've had friends who run like small breweries and restaurants, just people having to adapt to it and seeing that you're able to sell online and, your territory can be as far as you want it to be, I suppose, at least within Canada, people can get it, I guess. So it's cool to see how people have sort of pivoted and adapted to it.
It's crazy. Like we got lucky in that our online store was already pretty, it was kind of moving forward, right. And then all this hit, so we didn't have any downtime. We were able just to kind of capitalize on it and go, which was fantastic. And we realized quite quickly that everybody was at home looking at their phone, and we just kind of took advantage of that to sort of spread the word about us.
What is your next one? What's the next release that you guys are going to do?
Oh, I'm working on it's from Mexico. And so we're working on like a cold brew, but also can be brewed, throughout the rest of the year.
Well, you got the Cinco de Mayo to announce it right here, right?
Yeah,
live at Cinco de Mayo for sure. That's awesome.
So yeah, we're just getting it kind of just right. We're just experimenting with it a little bit.
That must be fun. You guys must be wired if you have to taste coffee all day long.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
what is the duration? Like, how long does it take from like inception to deliver to somebody? Like, what is the time period for that?
Oh, they change. Well, they change mostly because I think we never usually have a deadline, and so a lot of times you just have one you're playing with for a little while, and it doesn't get to where I guess probably like a song, it doesn't get to where you want it, until it does. And so some are really quick, and you're like, man, that's fantastic, and some, they take some time to pull it out. The cold brew one, it's been like I think last summer we were working on it too, and then it's like we just kind of missed it, and then
it's weird because is that new? Like you buy a coffee and the question is always like cold or hot now. I'm just like,
that's right.
What are you talking about? What? Like we're in the pandemic and now I got to answer all these questions. I was like, coffee? What are you talking about?
Is it cold? Nitro? Is it regular?
Yeah, because there's the nitro stuff too in beers now. Like if you go to, I'm like, I don't know what that is. Is it like nitrous? I don't know. Sure, whatever.
Yeah, you're infusing it with.
It's like you can't just buy anything anymore. There's a lot of questions that come at you.
That's right.
But that's great though. I noticed the cold. I mean, I'm in Los Angeles, so. Of course, I guess the cold option would be something, but I've never not a cold coffee guy. I don't think.
What was the one thing we were out in BC and they were adding butter to the coffee? Why would they do that? Have you heard of that?
I know loosely, like the people of Tibet.
Because there's not enough cholesterol in the coffee. You need to
I guess
it was.
They like shiny skin.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just like they were like, I don't know. It was quite odd, but
like a hardcore cream.
Wow.
I would think so. I
Yeah.
don't know. I only saw it. I did not purchase it. That's for sure.
I'm going to do it tomorrow morning just to check it out.
There you go. No, it's good, man. Well, we appreciate having you by to talk about your product because it is good. I mean, if you have a chance, if you're ordering coffee, you might as well order it from High Horse because you can get ours probably. I don't know if
That's
you
right.
still make ours or not, but
We do. Yeah.
Well, there you
we
go.
sell a ton of yours.
And in
actually.
a
It's
giant. Well, that's
unbelievable.
great to know. Yeah, I mean, our faces really do the work. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Trying to
Oh,
really
That's true.
pushing that coffee.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys could line up a little bit. We
Yeah.
look at your label so much that we're used to your faces.
Well, it's great. I love the branding's good. You have a great look to it, which is always something we appreciate too. Is sort of like a solid sort of look and identifiable thing. Like, I think the best. I mean, there's like breweries like Bo's Brewery. When you have good design and good elements to what you're doing, it's another level of, people want to be involved with that.
The
stuff.
whole package, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love that the jumbo size. I love that it's moving that way. That's perfect. It's like, screw these little bags. This is not enough. That's like a half a week.
We try to figure out how heavy it is. It's like
That is
5
outstanding.
pounds or something.
It is. Yeah, that's
5
exactly
pounds.
what it is.
Holy
It's a
crap!
5-pounder. Well, Steve has all of it. We've been given some. Remember, we
Don't
we
mind,
still
guys.
have a tub of honey still. We've been given large
Yeah.
amounts of things
Yeah,
over the years.
Well, we appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
And we will we'll
love
quickly, before we let you go, I mentioned in our pre-production meeting, which was super professional about the show. The first time you saw us was with Wilco, that Edmonton show when we opened for Wilco, which was like brought back a lot of memories for us. That was such a good time. That's 2009 or 8 or something like that. It was a long time
Yeah.
ago too, but
Yeah, a lifetime
That was
ago. That
great.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Like it was. I feel like Jeff had like a broken leg or something.
too.
For that
He
show.
had splints like
Two broke. Yeah, that's what it was.
yeah.
And
And
he
he
like-
wouldn't be able to. He told us he couldn't take painkillers because he had used up his drug karma. He was trying
Right.
not to use drugs, and
Right.
painkillers are one of his problems. So he was sort of like suffering through it, I guess, according to
But
him.
He was
got
strutting
that,
around.
He got that from running a marathon, getting into jogging and trying to do a marathon. So he
Oh, okay.
got shin splints and it turned bad and broken.
Oh,
chipped
no way.
legs, I guess. Oh,
Yeah, he was
No way.
hobbling around for the 3 days we were spent with him. We were in Winnipeg, Calgary, and was that at the Singer? Is that this, or is that Calgary? What's the
No, that was the Jube. I
Jube.
think,
Jubilee? Right,
Yeah.
that's right. That's the
which
Singer.
was
in
awesome.
Calgary.
It was a great show. That was amazing. That was the
Yeah,
first
that
time I
was
saw
a
you guys. I remember I
Weird
bought the album.
opportunity. Yeah, it fell in our laps. It was very strange. We were like, yeah, we'll go. We had no money. We'll fly out there and we just went. And it was well worth it.
And just a little note, those guys, because they were actually getting ready to record the live kicking television.
Right.
They were rehearsing. They'd
Right.
go on, they'd sound check 2 hours, and then go back into their dressing room and rehearse again for like another 2 hours before they had to play,
No way.
and then go on stage every night. Every night that we play with them, it was kind of insane. It was
Yeah,
pretty
incredible.
pretty hardcore to see how hard they were actually working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A band that actually had made it that was still working their butts off.
Doing the record pre-production.
Yeah,
at
on the
shows.
road.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Stuff.
Yeah.
They were pretty fun. I saw them at another roadside attraction, I think, is where I first saw those guys. And I remember, I think Jeff, somebody was heckling him in the crowd, and I remember him jumping off the stage, and he like fully kissed that guy right in the face, and then the crowd just lifted him back up onto the stage. It was like the coolest moment.
That's
And
why
I was
he's
like,
always
I
got
gotta buy
broken
this
legs
Beam
all the
there.
time.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, if you ever have I don't know if you've read his book. It's called Let's Go So We Can Get Back or something like that. It's his latest.
Okay.
He's written a few
It's
books
brilliant.
on songwriting, but his autobiography is, you read it in a day. It's so amazing. It's so crazy.
It's so good. Yeah. It is.
Oh, no way. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
check
and
it out
it's
for
like,
sure.
again, when you meet these bands and you're sort of heroes over the years and they turn out to be really cool people, it's like, that's pretty sweet too. So
That's
the whole
amazing.
band was great to us. We got to like watch Nels Klein try to figure out why his guitar was, he showed us all his tools and all his little toys and stuff. It was pretty great.
Yeah. He seems like I remember watching, they used to do those YouTube videos where you'd check out everybody's gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his was crazy.
Yeah,
his
he's one of
was
those guys.
Yeah.
He's for sure,
yeah.
where he has like invented pedals that someone built for him that no one else has, kind of thing, and that kind of stuff, right? Like, it's just
very
wild,
cool.
wild stuff.
And the story I think you were talking about, Kay, just not to keep going on.
Oh,
when we were playing in Winnipeg, they actually they just taped off a small little circle about the size of his body. So
Right.
because if he moved anywhere, he was getting like interference where it would just ruin his whole rig. So he had to stand the whole show.
He had the foil over top of
Yes,
it. They put
he
foil
did.
over top of the pickup. They were doing. I don't know. Like, these guys. I was watching them going, there's no way that this is a real thing. Like, who are these guys? Like, I hope they're not like rigging the lights too, because I don't think they're doing it right or whatever. But he had to stand at some radio tower at the Burton Cummings or something happened. But it was pretty great. It's hopefully we'll see them again soon when it all opens up again for sure. It'd be nice to
kidding.
see
Hey,
them
and thanks
again.
for the record, guys. Does everybody get this?
absolutely.
Does everybody like this? Is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Does everybody get this version, or is this just ours?
There's a couple. That was the first one, I think.
That's the
Two
first
different
press.
kinds.
That is wicked. You know,
It does look good. It looks good on YouTube for sure.
I think our neighbors hate us. Like we start every day, like bird dog, brr, just goes down. You can't
that's
you
what
can't
we
tell
aim to
how
do.
loud it is until you get down there. And you're like,
No, that's great.
Well,
man.
thanks for spinning our music. Thanks for appreciating it.
No,
We'll come find you when we're out there again for sure. And
Yeah, we
we'll
should,
sit
for
down
sure.
and have a coffee or something. Or if you're sick of coffee, we'll get something else. But whatever you're into.
No, never.
All right, Joe. Thanks for being here, man. And
Thanks, Joe.
everyone who's out there, just check out High Horse because it's really, really good stuff. If you like coffee, you should. If I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know. There's no coffee.
Get
All
yourself
you
a 5-pound
teetotalers.
bag.
Except for our tour manager Noah, he's a tea guy, so he wouldn't have anything to do with you.
Oh
That's all right.
no, that's terrible.
We'll get him. We're trying to convert him. We'll get him. Switched over.
You'll get them over there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
All right,
guys.
man. Be
Have a
safe.
great day.
Hi, Joe.
Cheers.
Hi.
All right.
Nice.
That was cool. Let's
Yeah.
talk to Joe. We'll be getting a lot of coffee from him over the years for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're at we got Shauna coming up, which is going to be great. We have the founder and operator of Six Shooter Records, sort of mentors, our guides, our leaders. She's going to be on in a little bit, but we could talk quickly. Do you want to talk about Canmore, Steve? Or we're probably the only people who would say Lethbridge, then the rest of Alberta. This episode is technically supposed to be Edmonton and Calgary. There's a couple places in between, the first thing most people think of is the Battle of Alberta, right? This is, you fall on one side or other of this particular map. So I don't know. Where do you guys stand on this? Steve, what do you think? Are you an Oilers or Flames guy?
Probably Oilers.
Yeah? Old style? City of Champions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark, what do you
I'm gonna
got?
have to go with I'm gonna go with the Flames. Lanny McDonald.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Just,
I like
or is it just because of
Jerome
Flame
McGinley.
Fire?
Well, but the whole thing is maybe for argument's sake, it's everybody picks Edmonton because you have Connor McDavid. You have,
they're likely to win sooner
Yeah.
right now, I think, for sure.
but I mean, I love an underdog. And not to say that Calgary is an underdog, but it's also the hometown of our best bud, Noah Camus, his dad, Mike. So I'm going to pick Calgary.
Right.
And he might be the guy who cares about hockey the least out of anyone in the world. Literally the least out of anyone. Ever.
Maybe Steve.
Oh, here's King.
Yeah, I didn't know you were going
there.
to talk about hockey, so I was unprepared. But I do. I don't have the greatest. What was it? The Flames Bar in Calgary. I think Noah was not a huge fan of that show. It was but do we get thrown in there by accident?
No,
Because someone got canceled, or was it?
No, because Dave Hodge picked us to go with Joel Plaskett. He was kind of
Right. Okay.
He kind of
Nico Case bailed out that weekend. I thought it had something to do with that, but it
She
wasn't.
didn't get
the
across the
rain.
border, right? She was.
Right,
She got
right.
stuck at the border.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Flames Bar, total sports bar, and that's why as soon as you said that, just because of it was actually, the show was fine and it was a nice, big show, but
it was a sports bar.
as a musician, it's hard to sometimes play when there's screens everywhere. And as soon as you said that, I went Oilers. I was kind of thinking of the bar, and nothing against the bar, but it's just,
they're classic logos. That's what I love. Is they're both completely classic logos. I mean, Calgary was started in Atlanta. I think it was the Atlanta Flames. I believe that was where the Flames started before they got up there. But anyway, so if you're obviously a lot of Calgarians are Flames, and then you have Edmonton, but right between these two cities is a place called Red Deer, Alberta, which is also a place we love to go to. And we got to mention Beau's, this little bar that's in a weird strip mall in Red Deer, where I don't know, if you live right between Edmonton and Calgary, you're probably one or the other, maybe a Leafs fan. I'm not entirely sure. But Beau's is one of these bars. If you're ever in Alberta, you have to check out in Red Deer. I forget the owner's name offhand. It's been a long time since we've seen him, but he treated us like we were Led Zeppelin or the Beatles or something. Just a wonderful, sort of country rock bar, and he took care of us really well. So
the last time we played Beau's, it was on my birthday.
Was it really? There you go.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. All right. I think I see backstage our friend Shauna's waiting.
Oh, nice.
We have her in. Let's bring her on in. There she is.
Hi.
Hey, what's happening?
Happy birthday, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Cinco de
great.
Marco.
You've been listening. Sure it is.
Well,
Yeah.
I was a little bit late on the listening. I was talking to your manager.
Oh, she's supposed to be watching this.
She is watching this, and so
Yeah, I
we were
know.
like, "Oh, we better be watching this." And then she said, "Oh, it's Mark's birthday," and it's like, "Oh, good,
That's awesome.
good tip."
So, Shauna, where do you? Quick non-musical question. Where do you stand on this right here? Are you?
Well, I'm from
you care?
Edmonton, so
I know you are.
so I clearly stand
Yeah.
on the side of the Oilers. Like, there's no not being an Oilers fan if you're from Edmonton, and there's no being a Flames fan if you're from Edmonton. So
yeah, I would imagine. So it's the same with football, I imagine, out there too. But I don't know how sporty you are. I'm not sure. I don't take you as a huge sports fan.
Okay, I'm not particularly sporty, but I did work. The last time I had a job where I was an employee,
Right.
I worked at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton.
Wow.
It's a 60,000 seat stadium where the Edmonton Eskimos played. And the year that I only worked for about a year and a half, maybe. And during that time, we had the U2, U2 Pop Tour and the Rolling Stones and the Grey Cup.
Oh.
So it was a very exciting time and I got to watch all the Eskimo games from, track level.
Nice.
And my office had a window facing the stadium, so
That's pretty
sweet. It was a pretty sweet gig. Yeah,
I think did you mention that in that creators podcast that I listened to? Maybe you did mention that. It was like the last job you had to do as an. I think I did hear that before because you've been in charge of 6-shooter for like 20. Are you at over 20 now? 21?
20. Well, it'll be 21 years in June.
It's incredible.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we remember the anniversary sort of got corrupted by this.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, we had big plans.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, knowing you guys, it was funny because it's Cinco de Mayo and thinking of 6-shooter and tequila in general as a thing that we've sort of had a shared history with the parties you've thrown over the years, which I always focus on South by Southwest situations, which are still some of my favorite stories and memories that we've all had together at like Headhunters and those places where you would throw those crazy label parties that we all survived somehow.
I like the people that owned Headhunters. They were pretty shady folks.
It seemed like the safety was not up to.
It wasn't, but several times in the middle of our party, I would walk around the corner to the liquor store and buy as much tequila as I could carry, and then fill up shots and hand them out.
Right.
I still have a couple shot glasses from that event, because you guys had you had a margarita machine at the house and different things. You guys really made an effort to make it something pretty incredible.
We did.
Because I don't know what South by would have really been like if it wasn't really, it would still be fun, but those parties were pretty legendary. All the people hanging out. And I think he did one. Was there not one at like Gordie Johnson's house or something happened there? I forget, maybe I don't know what that was.
No, we just rented houses. It was before Airbnb. We rented them from, what is it? VBRO or VRBO. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And those are crazy.
There was the year that we introduced pot cookies into our repertoire of
slowed everything down a little bit.
Bad idea. It's really not good.
Yeah, that's you try everything, right? It's party time, so you can try different things. But I associate you guys with tequila for the most part. That's what I think.
It's a better association.
You have a new artist on the roster who just released a record who's very much a pot cookie type.
Boy Golden. Right? He's so good.
That's right.
How did you find him?
Well, he's from Winnipeg. So, pretty connected to Winnipeg and also some of our staff live in Winnipeg. Vanessa Kuzina and Morgan Coates both live there. And Morgan is friends with Boy Golden. And so he, he posted the link and we on Slack, we have an A&R channel. So that's how I heard him.
That song is so good. From moment one, I think I even wrote on your Facebook. I was just like, I texted him on Instagram. I was like, love your stuff. It's brilliant. The video's so good. He's so good. Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's great. I think we're going to do really well with it. It's super fresh and fun, and the timing is, pretty good too. I think it's, people are going to look for something fun coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah, because you have White Horse's new release too. So do you think is now like obviously we released a record almost in the dead middle of this whole thing, and a lot of artists have done that. But do you think now do you feel like it's going to be a better time, like things are going to open up? hopefully,
Like,
touring is a possibility.
Like, do you mean touring or just like, what do you mean, Casey?
Like, is it better do you feel good about releasing records now, or is it still like precarious because of not being able to support that necessarily with proper touring? Like everyone's doing I know what you guys have tried to do. It's just like we talked to Joe about the coffee, you have to pivot in certain ways and try to do whatever you can. But, it's hard when your main thing is taken away from you. The main.
That's true. I mean, touring has always been how we develop our marketing strategies and the things that we develop around them. And so we had to figure out how to do that with no touring. And it was, our marketing team is running flat out. And we've since, really grown the marketing team. They're so busy and they're so good. And now it's like, oh yeah, touring. I think we figured out, or just not feeling afraid to release music when there's no touring because we had to, and now we're used to it, and then and we're also have become used to the really the flexibility around timelines when there's no touring. You have a lot more, you can move things forward or back, or and with touring it's like, no, that tour has been set up for 6 months and it's on sale and this has to happen on this day because of this thing. So it's been a really interesting time.
Yeah, you have an amazing, we know a lot of your staff, obviously, like Caitlin and your creative team have been pretty cool with what they've been doing. Like that whole White Horse stuff with the slow motion stuff was pretty wild to see all that stuff come out. And that was neat. It was like an interesting, because people have to do different things like that now, right? It's like, I think it's been good. So.
Well, the one thing that I was going to say is as the leader of Six Shooter, you've grown everybody from inside. You know what I mean? Like Caitlin is now directing and doing stuff that she, you know what I mean? Like when she was brought on, she was just an intern. It's like everybody stays on and they kind of morph and do into different places. Is that how you're bringing people on? Do you automatically think about them long term, or how do you?
I think that anytime I go into a relationship, I think about it for keeps, like a permanent thing. And of course, not very many of them actually are permanent, but some of them are. And if you want people to be within your community forever, you have to think about what it is that they want and how it can be that dream for them too. So like Caitlin's a great example. I met her at a Rio Statics in-store at Soundscapes, and did not knowing that she was only 18, and I roped her into selling merch for the Rios. And I didn't find out that she wasn't old enough to be in the bar until at the end of the run.
she's always acted above her age. She's always.
And then she started to come. She was our intern, and then she actually worked for us, and she did a number of different jobs, and including she was our publicist, and then she did our licensing, and then she went off for a little while to go work for Third Side, your publisher, and she opened their LA office, and then she's ready to come back, and so excited that she was gonna come back to Six Shooter, and it feels in many ways that she never left. And she did social media for us for 3 years, and now she's really interested in growing the art squad. That's what we call it. And, we have now like a fully manned art team that does videos and photos, and it's so much more demand for such a longer to-do list now when you release a record for that kind of thing. So she's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. I mean, that's what a great manager does. Right? The potential in people and lift them up and allow them to kind of, like you said, use their own dream within what you're creating, right? It's like, kudos to you for that.
You have this, I don't even know the state of the Interstellar Rodeo right now. What's happening with that? Summer's coming. I don't know if you even want to talk about that right now, if it's something that's not happening or whatever, but
it's definitely not happening in 2021.
No, that's too bad. Sure. There it is, the shot of it. The last one, I guess, was this 2019 one, I suppose, right here. But, and it's such a, I think they'll come back. It's tough for everyone right now. That's another amazing, because I think we've talked about this before. We consider ourselves your prodigal sons. We sort of got lost in the wilderness for a while, and then we came back, and we're home now. What feels like home. So we're back. But watching what you guys have done over the years, like adding that festival, which we played a couple of them. We did the Winnipeg one when it was on, and we did Edmonton, famously where Steve Earle sat on Steve's hat for about a half an hour, and he didn't
Right
know how to ask him
beside
to
me.
get.
I had to
but the
before
best
we
was
I had to extract it from him.
Yeah.
No,
It's hard.
but he
Pretty
sat
great.
down beside me, but it's like, who tells Steve Earle that he just sat on his friend's hat? Not me.
Yeah, like,
No,
I'm not telling him.
It's like,
I'm not
enjoy sitting there. He's sitting
Yeah.
right beside me. Go ahead.
I was
crush it.
like, excuse me.
But did you enjoy that? Do you enjoy festival running? That seems like an insane amount of work. It's like a lot of stuff.
It is an insane amount of work, but I loved it. Even when it was hard, even when it was, I learned so much. Like probably the hardest year was in 2014 when A.C.R.O.N.Y.M played, and we were one of the worst storms ever, and we couldn't. We couldn't do the show, and I was trying to figure out, like, do we do it? Do we not do it? What, and I'm looking at the weather thing on my phone, and it's just terrible weather, like 14 degrees and raining, and then, but I'm looking at Monday and it's 27 degrees and sunny, and so I'm, and I got a phone call from Corb, and he had, it was like his first show in his hometown in a year and a half, and he cut his fees to come and play Interstellar Rodeo. Really wanted to do it, and he phoned me and he's like, Shauna, whatever you decide, if you decide that you're going to go forward, I'm in. And he's so positive and encouraging and just up for anything. And so we decided, okay, like this isn't awesome. Like making everybody come and sit through this terrible storm and possibly endanger the lives of the band because the stage was wet and that kind of thing. And so we decided, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to try to take this lineup and move it to Monday. And it was a lot of logistics. And some of the bands couldn't stay. Like Trampled by Turtles was one of the bands. We did a show that night at the Starlight with them, and Tom Wilson, like Blackie and the Rodeo Kings were playing, and they couldn't stay, but Tom Wilson stayed. And then I'm on text message and phoning agents and whatever, and got the Great Lakes Swimmers and blanking on who the other artist was. So we put up this whole lineup in no time. And then we got the city to do a mayoral proclamation of Monday being Corb-Lund Day. So we could welcome everybody to
Of course, Corby loves that.
Yeah. It was pretty great. But it was from that year that we adopted the motto, just be awesome. And that has been kind of my personal motto, and certainly the motto of the festival, because it's like trying to make that decision, what to do. And it's like, what's the awesome thing to do? And that was the awesome thing to do. It wasn't necessarily the easiest thing or the cheapest thing, but it was the awesome thing. And so that's been a real guidepost, especially leading large groups of people, like I call it volunteer corps, and you give them what training that you can, and then they are in situations where they have to make decisions. And so using that as their decision-making principle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, the venue's
awesome.
beautiful. You have a pretty great venue.
Good.
True story.
Yeah, and you guys did like the wine pairing with artists, which I thought was amazing. That's like, one of those little small details that's like, this is, you should drink this while listening to Alberta, which is like, I thought that was pretty great.
Well, and then what would happen is people would go to the wine store and say, "Oh, I'll have, I want the Elliott brewed wine." Right.
Well, there you go.
Well, that's the White Horse wine or the Feist wine or the, because they got to try lots of different wines, which that was really like when Helen and I were sort of envisioning, what is it that we want? Well, what do we love? It's like, well, the music's got to be great. And, you can never get a good glass of wine at a festival. I don't know why it is, but it's just something that no one cares about. Yeah. And so, but to be able to enjoy really great music and then have someone bring you a glass of wine.
Nice.
That's, curated to enhance your listening experience of that artist on the stage. That to me is a good time.
It was. I remember my favorite. It was at the Winnipeg location, but seeing Dwight Yoakam was one of the highlights for me.
I was going to say that
those festivals was pretty cool. I don't know if you got to meet him or hang out with him, but that was like one of those like, this guy's a big star. Kind of. I was like, I didn't think I would care, but I was like, oh, he had the whole wardrobe case and all that.
We snuck in. Remember, we snuck in to go look at his little blue suede shoes.
Oh, it was wild.
The bus was backed right to the stage, so he just had to go from the bus onto stage and back.
Country star styles, man, for sure.
It was, and that was our first year in Winnipeg.
That's right.
And so we had done it like maybe like 4 times in Edmonton, and never any fights or any incidents or no one sneaking in over the fence or like nothing. Like, and then we go to Winnipeg and
and they show up.
It's a completely different ball game.
Yeah.
And we had to deal with fights for the first time. We never had to deal with fights before. And it was the women at the front.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
That's when the fights were breaking out. It was like a Dwight Yoakam fans, man.
That's amazing. Well, that's hard. Those old country songs, be drinking and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like,
good.
like the Cuddy fans. They can be crazy. Sometimes they're just a little bit intense. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, cause we've known each other quite a long time. We did Ambassador with you almost, I don't know how many, what is that, 2005? So 15 years ago. Do you remember that we tried to get you to give us $1 million for that record by any chance? Do you remember when we slipped the page across the table? We were like sitting down to sign a deal, and we wrote $1 million on a piece of paper and slid it across to you. And it was a good time. It was pretty funny.
Was that meeting at the Rancho Relaxo?
It was it was at Shanghai Cowgirl.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
With Phil. Remember,
Yes.
Phil was there, and
Yes,
Phil was
I
like
remember Phil.
jumping all
Yeah.
over the place. He was all over the place.
Mhm.
And that's how our relationship began. And I mean, when I found out that you released Richard Buckner's record, The Hill, which is, I would say, even Mark would probably agree,
Yes.
collectively one of our favorite albums of all time. That was pretty impressive to me. That I think it's one of the first records you released under the label.
It is.
with Vio.
Well, it didn't. I guess technically it was a 6-shooter release. It was only a 5-year license, so I lost it. I lost that record. But it was really, really early days for me. So I released that record in 2000 when I first started the label,
Right.
and I had no money, so I couldn't even afford to do my own printing. So I didn't put my logo on the So I bought units off of the U.S. label.
Wow.
That's how I.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it doesn't. So I don't have a copy of The Hill with the 6-shooter logo and the catalog number. So it.
I might have it. I might have one.
Well,
I would have bought it back then.
No,
It
but
doesn't exist. It doesn't exist with the logo on it, though.
Oh, I got you. Well, I would.
We released it, and I did the press campaign, and I have a actually not a very nice story about Richard Buckner, an Edmonton story.
Oh, really? Well, I know. Wasn't he married to someone from Edmonton or something?
He's married to Penny Buckner.
Right.
Yeah, and I was living in Edmonton at that time. So it must have been before. No, I was moving. I had come back to Edmonton for the release because Edmonton's my hometown. But he's a real fuck the industry kind of guy.
Prickly. He's a prickly fella.
Very
from what I hear.
prickly.
Yeah.
And and I had these volunteers, my good friends that are called the Fabulous Babes, and they had done all this work, putting up posters and whatever. And I went and I got a bottle of scotch, and we show up at the gig, and we're on the guest list, and it's like, he actually crossed your name off.
Oh no! I think you told me this before.
Yeah,
I believe you did tell me. That's
so I
crazy.
was just like I just was dumbfounded. I didn't know what to do. I left. I didn't know what to do.
That
So
would hurt.
that was that was a bummer. And then I tried to have a conversation with him about it the next day, and that didn't go well. And so it was but then when the license was up, and he was never nicer to me than when that happened. And so I did invite him to come to Edmonton to play Interstellar Rodeo, and it was like none of that ever happened. He was absolutely lovely. I think he probably barely remembered. Who knows? But
fair enough. I mean, Mark and I both saw in 1 year at the Horseshoe Tavern one of the greatest shows he played ever. And then 8 months later, one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life was him out of his mind, couldn't remember songs. It was just, I think he had actually, if I'm not incorrect, he had gone through a divorce or something happened in his relationship. That's when that happened. Mm-hmm. And it was night and day. He played with Eric Hayward and all this pedal steel, all amazing. And then 8-9 months later, ooh, I told my friends to come and see this. They paid for this. This is not good.
It was sad. It was a sad to see. But
I saw him a couple years ago in Buffalo. He still is. His songs are incredible. It's just, again, you have to deal with artists all the time. So
he's a really special artist, and that record, The Hill, is really, really special.
It really is.
There's so much
check
on
it
the
out.
road.
It's like,
It's monumental. It's so good.
Yeah.
To take those poems and to internalize it and then put it out the way he did. It's brilliant.
And just like the sound of even, I mean, you get into the minutia of that, what that record sounds like, and their little small toy guitars and like gut string guitars, all the stuff he used on it to make it clangy and jangle. It's a very like, I know every song by heart. I know, when I hear it, it's one of those albums that is, you don't play a song from it. You put it on and you sit back and you pair it with a wine or whatever, it's one of those ones because it's a whole thing that goes into one. It's one. And I think that's great because I think we always tried to do something like that too, where it's a cohesive idea. It's an album, right? Albums are still a thing to us for sure.
I mean, even when you say that, Casey, when we see the record, he wanted it to just be one continuous work, and it was like, that doesn't really work on CD, and it was a total negotiation to. So you notice that the breaks between the songs are really. Very, very short. Like they're as short as they can be.
Yeah.
Well, they're just basically like edit points that it'll skip on the CD player. We'll move it to the next track. If you were to just leave it on, it doesn't sound like the songs are really stopping anything like that. They flow into each other. But it's one of those guys because I saw him. I went on my birthday by myself because I was just on my own. Went to Buffalo to see him at the Sportsman's Tavern. The only other person there was like 4 other people and Tony Decker from Great Lakes Swimmers who had traveled across to go see him. And he was unbelievable. But again, he got really mad because someone was videotaping him and got up and had this whole rant. And Tony, we're just like, oh man, what's going to happen right now? But you can't I love the song so much that I couldn't I was afraid kind of. I was kind of like, what's going to happen here? Because now he's down to that, he does house shows and basically does his own little circuit of small shows for the most part. Is what he's doing now and taking it to his hardcore fan base. Essentially, that was a house show in a bar. That's what happened. But it was, that was a pretty great release to have to start a career. I would think, one of them at least. It's because you had many. You have the artists that you've worked with. I mean, we're going to be out with the Dead South in the fall, and these. I still think I don't know any indie band in Canada who's doing what they're doing. At the level of how they've come to where they are. That's pretty wild to see.
It's incredible.
It's just I mean, I don't think there's anyone else at that. We've seen the shows, we've been at them and been we're in Louisville, Kentucky, and there's a 1,500, 2,000. Where are these people? This is crazy. It's just unreal.
Well, it's they have a certified gold single in America.
Absolutely.
I don't know if there's another Canadian independent band that has that. It's a really incredible accomplishment. And
you have to skip up to Drake and all that stuff.
A bluegrass punk kind of band from Saskatchewan. And there is only one other bluegrass song that has achieved that. Buckner is a huge influence.
I think so. And Neville is a huge influence on all the rest of us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Neville, he's special.
He is. I mean, we'll have to have a whole separate episode to talk about Neville. But you mentioned the Starlight. I just want to show this one quick because this is one of our favorite venues. Obviously, this is on our Work and Love tour when we are
nice.
Bearded Mark. We had the promoters in Edmonton. Edmonton's always been a really like a peggable city for us. We know it's always going to be great there. It always has been. Even if Calgary is not amazing, Edmonton is always we've had Steve Durpak work with us, and obviously
Brent Oliver.
Brent Oliver, awesome promoters, and it's always been a place where when we get there for some reason we just go over really well all the time.
It's a really good place for live music. Your experience in Edmonton is not unique in the sense that, other bands that we work with or other bands that I know, Edmonton is one of their strongest markets in the country as well. It's people love live music there. And, I could go into my whole rant, or not really a rant, but my observations about Edmonton and Calgary and what's strong, why it's a strong scene. But it is.
And I think I was thinking about this is Calgary. We love Calgary too. Don't get me wrong, but they've had a venue issue for a long time. We've played 1,000 places there.
Yeah.
The Starlight has been our home in Edmonton for a long time since it was the Railway or whatever it was, that awesome bar that it was called the Railway.
The Railway's in Vancouver.
The original. No, what's the sidetrack?
Sidetrack.
Oh,
the original,
which is Brent Oliver.
Yeah,
You know
which is the
that I
original
used to
one.
work at the Sidetrack Cafe. I was a waitress.
Really?
Well, there you go.
Wow.
That was where we first started there. After we went Black Dog Sidetrack, and then basically, for the most part, the Starlight has been home.
Yeah.
And Calgary's great, but it's just they've had a harder time holding on to a place. Broken City's been there a while now, and I think they're still. I hope they're still going. So there's, but even the last time we ended up playing up on a campus bar somewhere. So it's having a place like the Starlight with their slanted, insane floor. Which I don't know if that exists anywhere else on Earth. I don't know why it's like that, but I guess it was a movie theater at some point or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we've always had our Corb tour, Edmonton was something out of this world. The 2 shows we did there at the Starlight with Corby was just like something else. So. Do you miss Edmonton? Do you go home a lot?
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't been home. I haven't seen my parents in, a year and a half, and that's really hard. But I typically go home. And that's what I still say. I say I'm from Toronto, Alberta now. I go home probably 3 times a year.
Oh, that's great. And what part of Edmonton are you actually from? Not that are there neighbor? I mean, there's the white.
Well, I grew up in the Southwest. I went to Harry Ainley High School.
Harry Ainley. Should we know who that
Ainley.
is?
That's a weird name.
Even I don't know who that is.
Yeah, some guy. He's probably a cowboy.
Sounds unfortunate.
Yeah, and pretty, unremarkable suburban upbringing in that sense. And I went to the University of Alberta for both of my degrees, and worked at Maxwell Taylor's restaurant and Sidetrack Cafe. What's that?
You ever run into Christia Freeland back in the day? She's an Edmontonian, is she not?
They all know each other in Edmonton, don't they? Everyone.
Canadian. What is she? Finance minister now?
One of the differences, between say Edmonton, size of that city, and Toronto is, in Edmonton, not only do you not know all of the music community, but you actually know all the arts community. It's just one big community. So I had a lot of friends who were actors or painters or dancers, whatever, different kinds of artists. And then in Toronto, it's really siloed. So I know lots of people in the music business, but I don't really know people from other fields.
When you were first starting out, what made you make that huge jump? You know what I mean? Like from leaving Edmonton to kind of be like, okay, I believe in myself. And not many people are like, I'm going to go start a record label. Most people are like, I'm going to go start a band, not a record label.
Yeah.
What made you, because I mean, you took all your energy, moved across the country to Toronto.
I know.
What was that moment? Like, what was the inspiration for that? Because for me, that's one, it's a lot of artists have self-doubt. So you can't even get beyond the thinking of I'm writing a song or writing all that stuff. How did you get that courage and to go and do that?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Mark. It's, they're okay, so this is pre-streaming, pre-Napster or whatever, and there's a little bit of industry in Edmonton, like Stony Plain Records.
Sure.
I guess. There, and but not really. So if you were going to go and make your fortune in the music business, then Edmonton wasn't really the best place to try to do that from. And so I felt like I wanted to move, but also my husband was wanting to work in film, and there's not a lot of opportunity in film either in Alberta. They do get some films there, but it's mostly like the Westerns or the ranch or pioneer. It's a certain kind of thing. And if what you're interested in is design, and specifically in sci-fi design, then that's not going to be the place. So we, it's like, okay, let's move. And okay, well, Vancouver or Toronto or LA or New York, those were the options. And we didn't have the resources or, to be able to make America happen. We didn't have any connections, we didn't have any money. So we picked Toronto. It seemed like the better, even though Vancouver was much closer. But both the film and the music industry in Toronto is bigger than it is in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we packed up, we sold our house and packed up our Jeep and moved. And lots of people that were, thought I was crazy. They thought I was crazy for quitting my job at the stadium, because that was a pretty cool job and lots of upward mobility that was available to me. And so, you know, there were a lot of people that sort of stumped. It's like, what makes you think you can do that? And, you know, and I hear that and it's like, what makes you think I can't? Like,
Yeah, that's great.
So, you know, it's a little bit of a, you know, fuck you world. I can do this.
But that's the best fuel. Is it not the best fuel in life? Is it's like, okay, I'm going to prove to you how good I am, what I can accomplish. That's so inspiring for people, right? It's just like there's other.
It's like the Beverly Hillbillies for real. You move, pack it up, and get moving to the big city. That cement pond. You got the cement pond yet?
I didn't have kids yet. I didn't have kids until a couple of years later.
Dream. Well, again, that maybe that's how that stuff times out that way. Like even for us, we started no kids, got a little footing before that happened for us. So it is all serendipitously worked out that way, that you got to do that. You took your shot while you still could, because the kids changed that stuff. Obviously, they would maybe have made things different, or who knows, but decisions would change. Who knows how that goes, but. You took the jump, and I mean, we're very thankful for it, because you know you've been a big part of our whole history.
Do you remember that in-store that you guys were doing at Sonic Boom? And
I danced Casey there. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
He's so in love with you.
I mean, I think what people should know, because unless you're a true music nerd, he really is. What I'm trying to say is, unless you really like, people may know our band or NQR Buckle, but the label behind it, you guys, 6 Shooter Records, they may not know this much about you, but and I don't know if you do it on purpose or if it's just your way, but the family you created you have this family that you've built, and it maybe was conscious, maybe it wasn't, but I think it's a lot about the way you treat your bands, the people you work with. Like that's why you still have Caitlin. That's why Emily's there. That's why you've managed to create this, it's a family, because like we've seen, like when we were even, you know, we weren't even on your label at the last South by Southwest, and we came to your party, and it was like being a part of your family still. You've done this thing, which is, I think, incredibly important and really awesome. And I'm really happy that we're back inside the family fence, you know, a little bit, because it felt weird to be away. It honestly felt completely weird for a while to just be sort of like, and that's not to discredit anyone else and what they do or anything, but I just feel like what you've managed to do over the last 20 years is very unique, and like we're very thankful that you've done it.
I totally agree. And the other thing that I'd like to add to that is that, Shauna, because you do what you do, actually you uplift so many other people, right? You create other stars around you, which is pretty great. Not everybody does that.
Well, and it's like
it's the truth, you know.
But you do. You have one of the best logos in the music business and best taglines underneath that
best
logo.
Slogans ever.
Everything you got, there's a lot of really cool things. It's a good thing to be associated, and you have Neville Quinlan in the fold, which is like we just want to be around that guy. So that's all. That's how I look at it. It's like if I could be closer to that guy. Great. So,
you went to his wedding.
I did go to his wedding, and it almost ruined the next 3 days for me. Yeah, that was a great wedding. That was an incredible wedding. I had to go. We played Burlington Sound of Music the next day.
Yes.
And I went on like that Spinatron ride with my buddy's kid for some reason after Neville's wedding. Not smart. It was that was at like what was that? What's the
Burlington Sound of Music?
No, but what was the venue where he had his wedding? The music hall or whatever it is?
Yeah. I can't recall.
But it's no, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us about this stuff.
Yes.
It's again like a record label surviving 2020 is sort of a big deal. You know, that's a big thing for sure. Or a band or any of these small businesses. It's like,
you got it.
It sounds like there you go.
Nice one. You gotta get the mirror. The mirror is all backwards, and
I can do Mark.
Concept of community is really important, and I come from a really big family, and I kind of take a family approach to almost everything that I do. And I think Neville that said to me early in the label's existence, it's like you start out with some kind of a scene, and that develops into a community, and then that can develop into a movement. And I feel like we're not necessarily at the movement point of that yet, but definitely the community is there, and it's it's how for me what's meaningful about this company and this group is that community. So it's really, really important to me too, and I am very glad you're back.
Oh well,
It felt weird to me too, and you were gone.
I know, and it was a few years, just like wandering in the ether. But it's you're the matriarch who, instead of handing out cookies, hands out shots of tequila to her family. Provides for the rest of us, and sometimes cookies too. Lazy. So if Shauna gives you a cookie, if you ever meet Shauna, remember what that cookie is. Is what I'm saying. Just be careful, because the tequila is very apparent. You know what that is.
You know what's going to do you.
No, it's great. Well, we'll. It looks like summer's starting to possibly open up, and there may be shows. We're hearing rumors of like some drive-in stuff and whatever else. So we'll all be able to hopefully get together soon and do it right. Because this Zoom stuff is all good and everything, but it ain't the same. We got to get in a room with a bunch of hot dogs like Neville's release party and get
right.
That was a good CD release party, by the way. Cheap Town, so good. I ate like 8 hot dogs. It was ridiculous.
They always smell better than they actually taste.
They tasted pretty good. I come from a cheap town. I think it makes that line to me is like, we're both from Windsor. I come from a cheap town. I eat hot dogs. That's all I ever needed to know about. And that's not Neville's greatest lyric by any stretch of the imagination. No. But it really resonated with me because I've eaten a lot of hot dogs. So.
Casey, what is your favorite lyric by Enki Arbuckle?
There's, I wish. It's got to be one from Darkness Has Fallen. Like the last song on that record, and I'm trying to think of it's about Roncesvalles. I lived there for 10 years.
Like swaggarts.
The little one-liners. There's so many. It's funny because when we were at his, you were taping something at the Dakota for him, and when I got put on the spot, I blanked too about the lyrics, which is something I always know the lyrics to. But Cheap Town, I think, as a song though, stood out to me right off the top as like, wow, I get it. I get this. Like. Maitre d', like passing out in the schoolyard, all that stuff. Like, oh my God, I just did that 3 nights ago. Like I woke up, like I've done, he's not lying. He's one of those lyricists. Is like, you can only write the stuff if you've actually woken up on a playground in a school on a Monday after, you should have been gone home or whatever. So I've always loved that about him. It's like, I don't know how many times he mentioned cigarettes on Battle Scarred Pinata, but there's a lot of cigarette smoking involved in songwriting. Like, without even branding them. He's not even selling cigarettes. He's just talking about smoking them.
I knew Neville for quite a while before I even knew he played guitar or sang. He was an agent, and he came on the road with my band, which was Mrs. Torrance, back a long time ago, and for a week to check out clubs. Never played guitar. I had no idea. And about a year later, I saw him at the Horseshoe, I think.
Here's one.
Just blown away. Like, wow, look what he does.
Well,
I think he's the ultimate. I go back to the word maitre d'. Like if there's a 6-shooter party happening, when Neville is on stage, and all of us could play that night, but when Neville and Enki Arbuckle is on stage, everyone involved, all the lyrics will come to me at that moment. I'm singing them with him. Everyone in front of that guy will be singing every single word to every song, and it's like people hugging and holding on to each other. Like that's it. That's amazing. Neville is the sort of like. That's the example to me.
Who else can perform and swear at his audience and get away with it? And beautifully, you know what I mean? Like he does it so well. It's like with a smile is on fuckers.
But my more recent favorite song is I think Lifeboat is my more like that's a more recent song from his last record, I guess. And I love a touring song like Kick It to the Early Sunlit Mountains is one of my favorite like one lines. Like just like being on tour, having to get up, start the van, it only starts on the second try, all these little things like just like man, this guy, like, now we can't make that song. Like, he did it.
All those details. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So he's obviously one of our favorites, and I'm sure yours, as you keep him around. So, yeah. But we can, I guess we could probably let you go. Get back to your life.
All right.
And whatever. But thank you, Shauna.
It's really fun to visit with you guys.
Yeah.
In person will be 10 times better. We'll do it at a Neville show.
The people that are actually listening and commenting and stuff.
Absolutely,
awesome.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, right.
Neville is the Force. That was the comment was from Star Wars Day yesterday. Use the Force, Neville.
Right.
Thanks for your time, Shauna. It's
great to see you. It's good seeing you guys.
We'll talk to you soon, Shauna.
Okay, take good care.
Bye. See ya.
Awesome.
Nice. That was really great.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the band and she's the one who has been, for the most part of our career, the one making our shit available to you guys. So that was cool. And good to talk to her about all this stuff behind the scenes, like how she came up and stuff. There's a great podcast. I think it's called The Creators. I should have asked her that you can look up about her story, basically like how it all happened. It's very interesting.
maybe you could tweet about it, or we can put it on.
Yeah,
Instagram.
we can put it out there for sure.
Yeah, I definitely could write a book about Shauna de Cartier.
Well, you're right. She's one of those people who took that plunge, and like, look how many people are now doing things because she made that decision to do that, right? To take that risk and like leave Edmonton and go try to do something different. Especially if you have a job that's like, I mean, Mark, you did this to a degree too. You had a decent, perfectly acceptable career in film. You're like, screw. No, I don't mean it like that. I just mean you didn't have to go make music.
My parents would agree with you. You had a perfectly good job.
What
I mean, I had nothing. I was really like, I liked my job, but I wasn't all that passionate. I knew I wanted to do something else. Yeah, but someone who has all that and takes that jump, right? That's a big deal.
But I felt for you guys too. You know, I didn't know if you should take that. Go ahead. Sorry.
But you know, that job would have never funded the band. Like that job, like I took all the cash. And it was like we had a label when we didn't, and just kind of funded the band on a tour. But the whole thing is, like, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in what you want to do, that's why you go do it. Like, what else? What is the other option? To live life and turn 47 and not have lived and done what you want to do.
You only live twice. Take that. Make a dream come true.
There you go. You only live twice. This is the first
cutback. Make that dream come true. Bookends.
Well, I'll just say this. I miss you guys. I wish I was celebrating my birthday with you guys, and we were having.
Yeah, I wish we were having your 30th birthday again. We talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
Mark's 30th birthday. We can't really. I mean, I lived through it. Is essentially the main storyline. Is I shouldn't have, but I got through it and survived. That was a great night. So now, 17 years later, here we are. Still, you know, we're successful YouTube TV tubers. I don't know if it's successful or not.
We're gonna retire.
One thing. We'll let you guys go. It's been an hour and a half. It's been awesome because we got to talk to Shauna and we got to talk to Joe. It was great. This Sunday, though, we've been teasing this a bit. We had a little problem with our networks. We're trying to find a place to host this show. But this Sunday, the Blue Jays, the Toronto Blue Jays, are playing the Houston Astros, the Houston Asterix, the Cheaters. We will be calling the game on Sunday, so keep posted to like all our stuff, and we'll tell you where it is. I think it's going to be on Twitch. The three of us are going to call the game. We have Steve Pitkin over there. He's our stats center. He's been studying for 2 weeks.
He's going to bring his garbage can.
He's got everything. Mark's calling balls and strikes, and I'm just going to make jokes about players and whatever else.
Well, we'll just kick it, hang out.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
What time?
Right.
Whatever the game's probably. I think it's
probably
a 1 o'clock game. So, but we'll put it all out there.
It'll probably be 107 start.
Yeah,
right?
we tried to do it a couple weeks ago, but Mark, luckily for him, got his first vaccination shot, which we encourage you all to do if you can, and are scientifically minded. So he was knocked out, so we couldn't do it then. But I don't think you'll have your second shot by Sunday, so I think you'll be fine.
No, definitely not.
And you're feeling better from that, by the way. Obviously, you're recovered.
I feel great.
Oh, good.
I was down for a day and a half, but I'm glad to have been down for a day and a half, and stress is relieved, all of that stuff. So it's great. So it's all good. Steve, you have to get yours.
I'm waiting. You want to do it today,
Not this day.
Sweet.
That is like
the production value is like it keeps going up on this. We're the first TV show, I think. We're the first YouTube show to gradually spend less money on everything until it just fizzles to nothing. One more time, can you hear it?
Brilliant.
Outstanding work, dudes. I love it.
Oh.
All right, boys. We'll let you go. We'll let the crowd go. Hold on. We got
We're back on in a month, though. We're back on.
We'll be back in June, early June for British Columbia, which we may parse out. We haven't really figured out how we're going to do BC yet.
It'll be June 2nd.
June 2nd. Perfect. So there's a ton to talk about in the mountains. We have the islands, the Waverly and Cumberland, a whole bunch of stuff. Yep. But we'll get to that as we get to it. We'll prep that as we need to. Good times. Be safe. Yeah. Get a needle in your arm, but not in this part. Do it up here. Not. Okay. I know heroin, you know what I'm saying. And we'll see you next time. Let me just find out how we leave here. Here it is. See you in June.
Acronym, that's A.C.R.O.N.Y.M. We started a little music club and we called it A.C.R.O.N.Y.M. We can't go on tour again until this damn pandemic ends. Until then, friends, won't you come on in and join us for Acronym? Analytical criticism regarding objectively narrowing your music.